How does losing weight really affect your energy levels? Well, when I was 210 pounds, I was always tired. I didn't want to, the easiest way possible I would always take the elevator instead of taking the stairs. Even getting out of the couch sometimes felt like an extra hassle. But the point is, and I don't even come close to how some people feel. Like, I was still relatively lean. Like, I had the skinny fat physique, but I still felt affected by how much I was overweight, but only when I was able to compare my energy levels to where I am at now. Now my mind is always on go, go, go. I have energy to do everything throughout the day, and it's constant. Losing weight isn't only about looking good. It's not only about, taking, stupid pictures for other people to see and inspire. That's like maybe 1% of it. Show off your discipline to a certain degree. The real benefit to actually dropping body fat, to actually getting into that lean state, at least for me, was the performance benefits that came with it. Because you can lose weight for confidence reasons. You can lose weight because you want to feel better about yourself. But the real benefit, for at least what I felt and for what I try to tell people, this should be what you strive for, this is what your main goal should be, is the way that you feel when you're lighter. Because whether it be running, cycling, swimming, or even just going on hikes, going on walks with people, just like the little things that bring joy to at least me, is so much more doable, and it's so much more enjoyable when you're light and agile. And I'm not saying cut down all your fat and have no muscle and be some skinny twig. No. Obviously build muscle in the meantime, but just this weight of relief and the energy that it provides is the biggest benefit I tried to tell people that it brought for me. Because the way that I like to think about it when I lost around 35 pounds was that, imagine carrying a backpack your whole life with that weighs 35 pounds. Sure, your body gets accustomed to it, but imagine how much slower, how much more of a sloth you are through the day-to-day life. Like, even just doing little monotonous tasks sometimes feels like a big headache. Walking down and up the stairs. To some people, that's a big deal. Parking a little bit further just to walk. It's not a big deal, but to some people, they park especially closer to like grocery stores, for examples, just for them not to have to walk as far. Whereas when you're lean, when you have, a lighter body fat percentage, everything is just more agile. You seem like you feel like a light little cheetah that's able to, prounce and move along, work longer hours. You're able to, have the energy to do things after work. And it's just like the energy aspect of it is the best component of losing weight. And I'm going to give you guys 3 big reasons and aspects to how losing 35 pounds really affected my energy levels, and how you're able to take this to the next level and apply it to your life. Energy is a calorie management problem, not a motivation problem. Men who are desk chained aren't tired because they work too hard. They're tired because they're overfed, under-recovered, and under-structured. So what does that mean? It means you're not tired because, for example, somebody working on a computer, you're working so many hours and you're just physically exhausted. How can you be physically exhausted from not working a physically demanding job? Right? Your body has shut down because you're carrying all this extra energy, right? It takes energy from your body to power a bigger mass object. Something I learned in physics back Actually, I'm studying physics now, so actually I learned it a couple of days ago. Less body fat equals lower daily energy drain. You're carrying excess fat, increases your baseline of fatigue. Inflammation, digestion, and constant blood sugar swings quietly drain your energy. For me, dropping 25 pounds reduced how heavy everything felt, mentally and physically. The moment that the weight dropped, like I said before, you just feel like a lighter person, right? Like you have this like almost youthful energy brought back to you. Like from the ages of like 10 to like 16, maybe even like, 16, 18, like 18 is when I really started putting on some weight. Yeah, from the ages of like 10 to 18, call it, was when I just like had all this insane energy. I don't really remember my energy levels before 10, sorry. But, just like a kid again, you got all this energy to play sports, be with your friends, hang out, stay up all night, this kind of thing. I'm not in whatsoever shape or form kind of, promoting staying up until 6 a.m., but I'm talking about like the example of having the energy to be able to even do that nowadays. But then from like 18 to around 22 years old, I started feeling all this like lethargy. I would spend more time on the couch, more time on my chair, more time, sitting rather than, being able to walk around, do things, and actually have the energy to be able to almost like live life. Like energy is literally the energy that you have to be able to experience and have a meaningful, fulfillful life. Have new experiences, go see different places. Like imagine going on, literally just imagine going on a vacation. I'm not talking about like a resort vacation where you're just sitting by the beach and sipping margaritas. I'm talking about, you go to a different country. Guatemala, for say. I thought of Guatemala because one of my best friends just went to Guatemala. And instead of, going all to see all these sightseeings, going to different places, going on different hikes, exploring the mountains, your energy levels are just so crashed that you're forced to sit inside and you don't want to do anything and explore a new area or country that you're in. For your example, like your wife's like, oh, let's go outside and go hiking and, see a mountain. And you're just like, no, honey, I just want to chill on this vacation and just sit on this couch and enjoy my beer. What kind of a meaningful experience is that? Your energy stops being reactive when you lose the weight. You have fewer crashes after your meals, you have no mid-afternoon fog, and energy becomes predictable instead of random. Imagine being able to predict your energy levels throughout the day rather than just being scared that crash might come later on throughout the day. How shitty of a feeling is that? It's just like you're working, and all of a sudden you crash. It's like, how can you really perform at your highest and best possible level where it's just like you work and then you crash? Speaking of crash, I'm going to enjoy some nice black coffee. If your energy is unstable, don't add caffeine, remove excess load. It's pretty ironic that I'm drinking caffeine while saying that. But think about it. If you're constantly putting more food into your system, if you're trying to constantly, eat, your body is just working on digesting all this food and putting it into storage and putting it through your body rather than being able to expend it. It's as simple as the amount of food that you eat, the amount of food that you put into your body. Just think of it as you're overfilling yourself. You overfill yourself and all of a sudden pops and spills everywhere. It's just like, instead of it popping and spilling everywhere, you feed it to the right amount with good quality foods and then you use it on tasks and priorities that matter to you. Whether it be work, experiences, everybody has different priorities, but you get the point. But speaking about quality, food quality matters more than food quantity for energy. When you're leaner, your body handles food better, but what you eat still decides exactly how you feel. Lower fat intake equals faster digestion. Fat is a satiating food. You eat it when you don't have too many carbohydrates, but you just want to satiate yourself. You eat an avocado, you're going to be full for like 6 hours. High-fat meals slow digestion and cause post-meal lethargy. So think about it, the last time you had like one of those massive meals, you ate like an entire spaghetti with ground beef. And I'm not saying necessarily that ground beef is bad, but it's not, it's not the leanest source of meat. You eat a whole pasta with ground beef, sure the carbs have some effect, but also like the fat from the ground beef takes so long to digest because it's so high in fat that you just feel sleepy and tired, and it's like you don't want to even do anything for the rest of the day. Leaner meals digest faster and free up mental bandwidth. Right, so your mind isn't so concentrating on actually, digesting the food, and you're just thinking about like how sleepy and how tired you are. You can actually just, eat a meal and go back to work, or eat a meal and do whatever needs to be done for that day. You feel alert instead of heavy after eating. For me, I used to have very high fat meals. Sausages, butter, dairy, oils, all these things add up, and it's so hard to be in a calorie deficit when your fat consumption is super high. Because, as we all know at this point, I'm sure, and if you don't, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrates and protein equals 4 calories. So you do the math. What's really causing your inability to lose weight? Carbs stop being the enemy at this point. You don't fear them anymore. Quality carbs support focus, training, and recovery. Why do you think bodybuilders, pack on rice but still somehow look lean? When calories are controlled, carbs increase energy instead of killing it. Back to the pasta example. Obviously, pasta is like an insane carb, and you're gonna, feel tired. Paired with a fattier source of meat, or even any fat added to it, whether it be pasta sauce or whatnot. And the problem isn't carbs; it's excess calories paired with bad food choices. So if meals make you tired, simplify them. Lean protein, quality carbs, beats clean but heavy meals. Just think about lean protein. What's a lean protein? Fish, eggs, chicken. Just some of the basics, just to name them off the top of my head. And then number 3, being lean reduces decision fatigue. This is probably the most important point. Because when you're able to get to that lean state, what it takes for you, what kind of mindset you have to develop to get to a state that's really lean, is you start thinking and looking at food a little bit differently. When your body feels good, everything costs less effort. Less mental negotiation. No constant, I should start again. No guilt-driven motivation cycles. Fitness stops stealing attention from work. Because when it comes to the point of choosing your foods, in order to get to a lean level, or one where you're not so lethargic, bloated, and heavy, you have to have such a simple diet. And that's what people are like scared of. They're like, oh, I need to track every single calorie to lose weight. No, you just have to simplify your diet so you're not negotiating with yourself. Oh, what should I eat? Should I start over again? Oh, F this, I'm going to start again in the new year. And then your goals just get thrown out the window. Your energy finally becomes usable. You don't need to rely on coffee. You don't need to rely on energy drinks. And you don't definitely need the willpower to eat well. Because once you've learned what it takes to be lean, and once you feel the energy at that leanness, you just want to stay there. Energy is available for work, relationships, and thinking clearly. Right? Once you have the energy, once you feel what it's like being at such a lean state, you never want to go back. Because I talk to guys all the time, and they're saying, it's unreal like how much more energy I have throughout my day constantly, and I get so many more things done. But at the same time, I feel better doing those things because the negative self-dialogue isn't in there. Fat loss isn't about aesthetics, it's about freeing mental energy. right? When you simplify your choices, everything becomes so easy. It's one less thing to think about. Like I always say, humans always like to take the path of least resistance. Why are you making it harder on yourself by coming up with all these complex, crazy meals? Oh, I'm gonna have, I don't know, chicken parm with some other crazy thing, just to get out of an example. Save those insane meals for when you're going out on your date nights and you're deserving of that meal. Not every night for bed. Just simplify it and eat the same thing every single day. And if you're somebody that doesn't like to eat the same thing every day, because maybe A, you don't have that discipline, or B, you like variety in your diet, then switch it up with the same foods but cook them differently. One day have, I don't know, scrambled eggs. The next day have sunny side up eggs. The next day have like over easy, for example. If energy is your biggest bottleneck, what's actually draining it? And most of the time, it just comes down to poor food choices. Because poor food choices is what got you to the state that you're in now. And in order to get to the state that you want to be in, you just have to make different choices, better choices. And those better choices are just going to, you might not, feel them right away. But I'm sure as hell if you stick with it consistently for 1-2 weeks, you're already going to feel better. Stay consistent with it 1-2 months, and you're going to see a visual difference and feel some like insane energy come out of you. Stick for it for 1 or 2 years, you're going to be a completely different human being. Energy is a funny thing because a lot of people think it comes from outside stimulation. Like most people say, oh, I'm tired, let me get a coffee. Oh, I'm tired, let me get an energy drink. When in reality, it's just created by the foods that we eat and the amount of food that we eat. Right? So if you want more energy, it's a simple task of cleaning up your diet and eating less. Because once your body weight drops, let's say like I was, for example, 210 pounds, once I got to 170 pounds, what it takes to run a 170 pound body is way less energy. Right? Think about it. Because in order for you to maintain that weight, like what it requires me right now to maintain 175 pounds is around 2,600 calories. What it required me to maintain a 210 body was around 3,500 calories. So number one, you're saving money on food, so it's like almost like a no-brainer. But number two, you're inputting less food into your system, but as a result, you can you can output more tasks, more drive towards life. It's not something that I have to really convince you about. It's just something that like I wanted to share a perspective with you guys, and like I don't need to teach you or tell you that having more energy is better. Everybody wants more energy, right? That's why we're all chasing these espressos and whatnot. But the most efficient way to achieve more energy is by simply cutting down the amount of mass it takes to move your body. Right? Like I'm learning in physics right now. I can't even remember the equation. Force equals mass times acceleration. So imagine the amount of force I think I'm gonna fuck this up, but imagine the amount of force I needed to move, or the amount of I'm gonna butcher it, but basically just in simple terms, imagine how much more energy you need to move, or like even when it comes to like pushing a 200-pound box versus pushing 175-pound box. It's two different realities. You don't need as much forced to push that box now. So in order to do that, it's as simple as making better food choices. Because smartening up your diet is just going to naturally just cut the weight, and as you naturally cut the weight, it's gonna be, the energy is just gonna fly in naturally itself, and it's gonna be a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found some value to it. Hope this kind of motivated you, or maybe even inspired you to, eat even just 5 kilos. Watch how much losing 5 kilos will change your life. And in other words, 11 pounds. 5 kilos, 11 pounds. Just try it. Be strict for a month. And if you don't see a noticeable difference, okay, you can come back on my video and comment you're a fraud. But if you do it, you stick with it, if you actually have the discipline to, see that 5 kilo difference, you're going to come back in reality and be like, oh my god, my life's changed. I wonder how much it's going to change after I lose 30 kilos. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume, serve others, love everyone. Subscribe if you're new, like the video. Peace.